Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
And you're listening to Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, we got another special episode with an all-truck challenge competitor. Today we are excited to have on Robby Garcia. Robby, how the hell are you?
Man, I am doing freaking phenomenal, guys. Thank you for having me on.
No, we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule as you're probably like some of the other competitors getting your truck ready for All Truck Challenge 2021. Give our listeners a little bit of background. Is this your first year competing or have you competed in the past?
This is not my first year. This will be my second race ever to do. I competed in, it was KOS last year,
right.
King of the Streets. Looks like they had a little bit of EPA up their ass, so now it's All Truck Challenge. It's the same race. I'm super excited to do this again. My truck has literally been worked on since the day that it left the race last year. I may have got to drive it for 3 days in between, and it's back in the shop right now. So this truck is a fucking headache. My wife hates it, and she loves it all at once. And, I feel the same way. It's awesome when it runs, but, that's maybe 3 to 10 days out of the year.
Well, that's what my wife says about me.
That's not a lie. So,
man, it's just been a lot of parts, waiting on new parts.
Of course.
Everybody says the same thing. COVID, so trying to get these race products for it's just been a super big wait. I think I had my motor sitting at D&J for 7 months waiting on FSR pistons, just waiting on the pistons.
So let me ask you this before we kind of dive into what that experience was last year. What made you throw your hat in the ringer last year to even consider competing, as that was your first race?
To get my truck complete.
Okay. So it was a project and you're like, yo, I got to get this done. I'm going to fucking compete.
If I don't give myself a deadline, that's absolutely ridiculous. I'll do nothing.
You'll think it's crazy, but it's 100% for real.
I believe that.
It's just, everything that I've been doing and putting it through. I just wanted, I wanted it to be finished, and I felt like it's never finished. And God, hopefully I'm here this time.
So,
go ahead.
I was just going to ask, give us a rundown of your truck. What are we talking about here? You got a 5.9 Mega?
No. So I have a 2014 6.7 crew cab long bed. So y'all are gonna laugh. I'm not your typical race truck. I don't look like your typical race truck. My truck is a 9,000 pound 1 ton single rear wheel drive. I'm lifted 6 inches. I went down the track last year on 37s.
Oh my God.
Yeah, people laughed at me because I pull up, I'm in this big ass truck, and then I started ripping down the track, and everybody kind of had a change of heart about what my truck could do. And I think that's really the awesome part, is I'm running these times, I'm pushing out this horsepower, and I'm in your average Texas roofer truck. I own a roofing company, and it's got my logos all over it. I wanted to build the biggest, fastest, loudest, meanest truck in the industry, and by far I think I've accomplished that.
So leading up to All Truck Challenge, King of the Streets, whatever you want to call it for 2020, what was your experience prior in? Was this, do you have drag racing experience, sled pulling experience, dyno experience?
I've never done any of it.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
I know. I've never been on the drag, so everybody's in this crew meeting, and they're talking about don't double bowl somebody else, and they were going over all this, and I'm just raising my hand. I'm like,
what the fuck is that?
Gonna laugh, but what the fuck does that mean? Here's the next part. I'm asking people, how much boost do I build? Where do I leave off at? I literally had no idea, so I had to play with it. The crazy part, we were working on it up until the night before. We were at Fire Punk, I was there all week, we had 32 revisions before we got the fuel to stop surging. I was lacking some horsepower, but we went there with what we had. I think I hit 1,023 on the dyno last year.
What did you have for a setup? What was your turbo and fuel combo in this truck?
Oh, it's, everything's changed. When I competed last year, I had I had a 468. Don't ask. I had a 5-blade turbine wheel in there. I don't know the size of it, so forgive me. I had a 68 over an 85 stainless. I had a D&J Performer engine, but I had a lot of stuff done to it. And I sent it back this year to have stuff done to it. It's equivalent to the Predator. I've got the Stage 3 D&J head on it. Now I've got the 472 over the 485. My injectors have been the same. I'm running with 350% over extra G injectors. Last year, so it's funny, last year before the race, like a week before the race, I had double pumps, double 12 mil pumps, and my fuel was surging. So like the night before the race, we couldn't fix it. We broke it down. We put a 14 mil race pump on there, took all the dual shit off. It's just one thing after another. But now I'm running on a single 14 mil Exergy, and I think I forgot what lift I have in there. I think it's like a 290, not a 290, a 210, 215, something like that.
So what transmission is harnessing the power to the ground here behind the motor?
Yeah. So that's the other great thing. So I did a 48 swap, the Firepunk Stage 3 48 swap. I did the swap the night before the race, guys. So I went to the race on a fresh transmission that had no miles on it whatsoever.
Oh my God! Why? Why? Just what?
The trailer, and I'm ripping it down the track immediately.
What happened that you made that choice? Why did you do that?
Okay, so it was, again, guys, I'm telling y'all, this is COVID. I originally built this truck because everything kept breaking down on a normal Dodge, because that's what Dodges do. And I just started replacing it with better shit. All of a sudden, my wife's like, holy fuck, you've spent over 6 digits on fucking performance stuff. I'm like, sorry? It was one of those. So the deal is to say, I did the fuel change, and then things were running right. We were going to send it to Firepunk to get tuned. In the meantime, we were waiting on the Stage 3 transmission from Firepunk to be shipped to Texas. Obviously, again, this is during COVID. COVID parts delayed everything. It was a week before the race, and we're like, fuck, we don't have any more time. I loaded it on a trailer and hauled ass to Ohio.
Okay.
Where Firepunk put the transmission in, they did some fine tuning. It was a lot.
No, I mean, it sounds like that. Now, looking back on 2020, the truck's been, a project ever since. Looking at what 2021 looks like, what did you experience in 2020 that you're looking to improve on going into the year 2021 at the All Truck Challenge?
I want to finish the race. I told you, my truck was working fine. I didn't have to work on it at all. I made it to the Sled Pole, the last event. Some shavings got in the lines, clogged the filter, prevented me from shifting into gear.
Okay.
I want to finish.
Okay.
I want to finish, especially without breaking down. I don't want to break down. I want to make it all the way through the race without breaking down on a tire change only.
Okay.
Tire change only.
By the way, so I got some slicks this year that's waiting at Firepunk that I'm going to pick up. So because, man, I want to see what it's about, and it's going to look funny as hell because I told you I got a big 6-inch lift on this thing, and I'm going to be running with some tiny drag slicks down the track. I'm going to put my 37s on for all the other events, but the track, I'm definitely going to run some slicks and see what it has.
Wait, you're going to dyno it with 37s?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, for sure, he says. What about the sled pole? Because I've heard some assumptions on hitch height. So do you have to get like an extension for your drop hitch to get it low enough to meet the requirements?
Funny shit. 2 weeks before the race last year, I'm waiting on this hitch to come in, and everybody's blaming it on the same thing. So I went and got the strongest iron that's out there, and I had this hitch custom made through this fab shop and weld shop. I already had the hook, I forget, I don't know what it's called, but I had the hook that goes to the receiver. So when I got the Firepunk, we just drilled the holes through the receiver. It was custom made, it put together. It's pretty badass. I did it with 37s, and it's an exact 20-inch hookup height.
Wow. Okay. So now I know you had said that you don't have a lot of experience. You ran into a problem last year. Can we assume that going in this year you have no full hooks on any sled pole ever?
Never.
Okay. What do you think about the sport? I mean, have you seen it? Have you been around it? Do you have friends who are into it? Do you think it's going to be like a make or break event for you?
No, so I have no friends in it. I have no friends with a truck that's even anything like this. I really, just always dream of having a big, badass, powerful diesel. And once, I started looking at I wanted to do DPC, Diesel Power Challenge. I always looked at that. Obviously, you got to be voted in. I'm browsing around looking at events that I could enter, and I came across the KOS. And then it had, I'd been looking at all the sled pools, and I was like, dude, how badass would that be? I want to do it. I want to compete. And the sled pool was the most exciting thing I was looking forward to, and I fucking broke down last year.
Oh.
It's super cool that you tell us that story, because that was my next question. Was why, like, you have no friends in this? This isn't, you're not that, oh, I'm affiliated with this shop or that shop. How the hell did you learn about KOS last year, or to even get into it? So you had that experience, about the magazines, about that stuff, and then you were actively browsing events, and you came across this all in one, and you're like, fuck it, I'm throwing in the hat. This is it.
Absolutely. I put a deadline on everything and said, this is it. I have to have the truck ready. And it was red team go.
I love that. I love that so much.
Literally just browsing on Facebook. Obviously, I'm like in the Fire Punk diesel forum. I'm in these, all these diesel forums and things like this. And it was just something cool that I wanted to compete in, that, my truck had a chance. It's not like a full-blown race truck, but it's got some power, and it puts down.
That's awesome. Now I'm doing a quick look at the stats from last year. To be honest with you, if you would have gotten any point sled pulling, it would have bumped you up significantly. There was a really tight race within about 500 points there. Overall in 2020, you came out, I believe it's 14th place. Where are you looking to see yourself land this year? What's the goal?
My top goal, I want to place top 5. I want to go for top 5. I'm coming this year with all the ponies that I should have had last year. Last year I put 1,023 on the dyno. Last month I put 1,490 on Fire Punk's dyno, put me on their top 10 dyno sheet. And that was funny because that was on a 4-inch exhaust with a muffler. I still had a regular. So after I got it back this last month and we just did it, I did a 5-inch all the way back. After talking with Stainless and D&J, they're pretty positive that that's going to add about 80 more horses, because I was super restricted with that 4-inch. So I should be, 1550-ish horsepower. I'm going for top 5. If I get top 10, I'm going to be happy, but I'm going to be fucking pumped if I make that top 5.
I mean, and you said earlier in the interview, the main focus, you just want to be able to compete in all the events and finally sled pull for your first time.
Right.
So
and to tell you the truth, another reason why I did it is because I spent all this money on my truck. I have my roofing logos all over it, and my wife said, find a way to brand and advertise this truck so I can write it off. And I decided to enter the race and show it off and use it as a branding tool so I could write it off on marketing and make it a tax deduction.
That's awesome.
Smart businessman. Now, we ask all of the competitors this, right? Who are you looking at? Who are you gunning for? Who do you think are the main contenders in this race in 2021?
I mean, you got people like Justin Duffy. That guy's got a solid truck. Ben Francis. Ziegler's not competing this year. That guy's truck's just out of the world. Bubby Payne's coming back. That, I don't know if y'all seen that dude's truck is just, it's really on point. And it was cool because he competed and won last year and didn't break down one time. And I think that's the coolest thing, is competing in the event, winning it, and not breaking down.
Yeah.
And then you got Mario. Mario's on a freaking stock Ford Trans. Holy shit, that guy's doing it. I mean, I don't really feel like I'm like competing against anybody. I'm just really doing it for the fun and hope to place. All these guys that are out there are super cool people. It was great to meet everybody because these are guys that you see in like DPC and all these magazines and racing these events. And just to be like, competing alongside with these guys and being in the event was like, it was fulfillment enough for me.
That's awesome,
super
man.
cool. It's a different outlook.
It really
right?
is.
It is a different outlook from a true enthusiast, right? Someone that thrives on the magazine, someone that thrives on the forums on social media and looks up to the sport is like, hey, I have an opportunity to throw my hat in the ring with the guys that I read and hear about and see how my truck stacks up. And that's really like when we've talked to Sarah in the past, like that's what this is about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think you got an awesome setup, number one. I think it's going to be extremely competitive.
Energy and drive kind of matches the truck, man. Like, I believe in you just by talking to you the last 20 minutes. Like, I'm super pumped to see you compete.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a tough one out there because I think the level of competition is rising every year. As I was doing some quick looks on the rundown last year, I think there were 6 guys at 1,500 horsepower and above. There's some trucks that went fast last year on the drag strip that are going to go even faster this year.
Of course.
There's some guys who are certed now, so they'll get more than one pass, right? Things like that. But I think it's still fun because this competition draws in people who, like you said, Chris, have that passion, have that, that just I'm out here to have fun, man. I love that line. I'm not really looking to compete with anybody. I'm just looking to do the best I can with the truck. We all know that building a truck over time, no one man does it all. We all get help, and we all have somebody we want to give a shout out to. Who is it that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Man, the shop that's definitely been, I've had it at 2 shops, only 2 shops have worked on it. Bare Knuckle Diesel out of Decatur, Texas, have done most of the bone work, the framework. They're grinding on it right now. They're my go-to local shop. Obviously, not a lot of these trucks exist to do some fine tuning, some other changes. Firepunk is taking care of me. Levon, Andy, everybody over there. They just have a team full of badasses, and the same thing here at my local shop, man. Dude, they just hands down. I appreciate all the time, work, and efforts that they put into it. They really, I feel like I could step at either one of these shops and just walk in, kick my feet up, make myself at home. They handle business. They really look out for me because when it comes to working on it, I can't fucking tell you a damn thing. I can change the tires out, do some here's and there, change the brakes. But when it comes to working under the hood and wrenching and putting all this together, don't fucking look at me. I'm the one who's either gonna make it or fucking break it. It's like my pit crew. These guys really have done a lot. I believe Cody, the owner of the shop here at Bare Knuckle, and his guy Witt are going to fly up to the race, just because they want to see this truck win and compete. We're bringing tools, some extra parts and things that in the case that we do break down, we can put it back together, get back to it, and, we want to finish this event.
That's awesome, man. We're excited for you and definitely wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me on, guys. Thank you.
Not a problem. Listeners, that was Robby Garcia. Thanks so much for sticking around for this special edition of Diesel Performance Podcast.
Upgrade the factory transmission oil cooler in your truck with the XDP Extra Cool Direct Fit Transmission Oil Cooler. The XDP Extra Cool Direct Fit Transmission Oil Coolers provide you with an upgraded bolt-on design. Each transmission cooler is built with a high-efficiency core to maximize cooling. Designed as a direct fit replacement, this transmission cooler comes ready to install with all the brackets, hardware, and accessories needed for installation. To find out more about the XDP Extra Cool Direct Fit Transmission Oil Coolers, check out xdp.com or find a local dealer near you.
What is Whirly Custom Fab's thermostat bypass valve, and why is it an important upgrade for your 2017 to 2019 L5P Duramax? 2017 to 2019 L5P Duramax trucks feature a unique thermostat assembly for the Allison transmission, which allows fluid to bypass the auxiliary cooler and use engine heat in the radiator coolant to reach ideal operating temps more quickly in cold weather. When the desired temperature is reached, the thermostat is supposed to open and allow fluid to flow forward into the auxiliary cooler, which helps maintain transmission fluid temperatures at a safe level. Now the issue. This thermostat is prone to get stuck closed, so when the fluid gets hot and reaches the point that it needs to be cooled via the auxiliary cooler, the fluid is instead bypassed by the closed thermostat and returned to the transmission uncooled. Hotter fluid breaks down quicker, which leads to poor fluid performance and potentially premature damage and shortened transmission life. If you tow with your truck or live in a warm climate, this bypass plug is a must. Whether your truck is a daily driver, work truck, tow rig, or competition race truck, this is an issue that plagues all 17 to 19 L5Ps. When running one of WC Fab's shop trucks at the drag strip, they noticed temperatures reaching the unsafe zone. After some investigation, they found the auxiliary cooler up front was cool to the touch. The hot fluid was not making its way to the cooler. Upon further research, they found that even factory stock trucks were experiencing the same issue. With this discovery, the thermostat bypass plug was born. The CAD-designed, CNC-machined, anodized billet aluminum bypass plug requires a simple 15-minute installation. WC Fab has been building high-performance transmissions for the L5P platform for many years now and immediately started including this made-in-the-USA piece with every transmission that they build. Tested in-house on both their shop trucks and customer trucks, the transmission cooler thermostat bypass plug for 2017 to 2019 L5P Duramax trucks can drop the fluid temperature from 15 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit by reducing fluid flow restriction to the transcooler. The Exergy Performance Fuel System Saver works. If you have a CP4 equipped fuel pump, which is commonly found on the 2011 to 2016 LML Duramax, and also the early 6.7 liter Ford Power Stroke engine, they're known for failure, period. Now, most of the time, if you put a lift pump on the truck, you'll prevent a lot of the potential failures. If you do regular maintenance, you can help prevent the potential failures. But at the end of the day, there's still a risk that no matter what you do, that CP4 could fail. And when they fail, they have a track record for sending all of the metal shavings downstream. So you end up needing a whole new fuel system, new lines, new injectors, new tubes, new everything. That could be very expensive. Even if you're under warranty or you find a bundle package for a great price, there's still a lot of labor that goes into that job. The fuel system saver increases the amount of protection post CP4. So it's not going to stop your CP4 from failing. What it's going to do is that, God forbid, the CP4 gives up and it starts to send metal debris through the truck. It's going to stop it before it hits the rest of your fuel system. And that's why they call it the fuel system saver. If you have a CP4 pump on your truck, you absolutely need to give DuramaxTuner.com a call today and get yourself a fuel system saver. All right, listeners, now it's time for one of our favorite segments. We have our remote support expert here, Sean Lynn. Sean, how the hell are you?
Great. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing good, buddy. Thanks for asking. Sean, we are talking about some troubleshooting that I think a lot of guys probably run into, but they don't really expect to have to deal with this topic. So lay it on me. What's the truck we're talking about today?
Yeah, so we're talking about a 2020 L5P Duramax.
Ooh, all right. Fancy, new, loving it. The tuning on those, a little bit tougher. Is this a tuning or a turbo?
This is just tuning.
Just tuning. Okay, good. How with tuning on these, you're swapping out your ECM. So you actually have to get an unlocked ECM, and then you use HP tuners to flash it. So what was the problem or the symptoms that were first reported to you by the customer?
Yeah, so the guy's trying to load the tunes on his truck. He was unable to change his VIN number, and he just needed help getting that loaded, getting that working properly.
The VIN number. Why do you lose the VIN number?
The replacement ECMs, sometimes you need to reprogram the VIN number. Sometimes it loses it. I don't know why.
Okay. Gotcha. So just some guys, and it seems to be kind of random, right?
Very random.
Just every once in a while, you got a guy who's switching around tunes or flashing the truck, and for whatever reason, we just don't have a VIN number. What was the issue he ran into?
The reason why this became an issue is because he was trying to load his new switch on the fly tune upgrade.
Okay.
And it is locked to the VIN number of the truck, and when it shows up as all Y's, it sees a problem.
It says, no, can't do this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How do you resolve that issue? What was your troubleshooting steps on this?
So the first thing I said, because it's a 2020, and people don't seem to understand this, but if you push the button once in your 2020 truck, it just turns accessory on, basically. Mm-hmm. You actually have to push and hold the start button for 7 seconds to put it into the actual run mode.
Oh, see, this is always so confusing for guys, even back when we had actual keys in our truck of like, no, run mode is truck not running.
Yeah, and those trucks, you cannot really do the swap process completely if you don't have it actually in the run position.
Okay.
Just because accessory is just turning your radio on, not your gauge cluster. That's how
Right.
you know you're in run, is your gauges will light up.
Oh, good tip. Okay, I like that. Okay, so you got it into run mode, and then what?
Putting it in run mode will allow you to do all the changes necessary. Sometimes you have to hit clear DTCs, clear the check engine lights, and then you should have no problem changing the VIN.
Nice. And do you do that with the RTD and HP Tuner software?
Yeah, it can be done with the MPVI2 or the RTD, either way.
Gotcha. All right. Did this fix the issue?
This did fix the issue. We got him the new shift on the fly tune upgrade installed on there, and he hasn't had an issue since.
Nice. Well, good job, man. That sounds like a successful remote support experience.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely happy because when he called in, he was not the happiest camper out there.
This did not start with a person with smiling on the phone, we'll say.
Definitely not.
Well, that's good, man. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sean.
Well, thanks for having me, Paul.
Listeners, stick around. We got more Diesel Performance podcasts coming at you in just a moment. Super Tech, Jeremy Garnett. How the hell are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Jeremy, we are moments away from takeoff for King of the Streets and All Truck Challenge. Now, our buddies and coworkers, Tim Mahoney is headed out there with his Cummins, and Nick Pregnitz is headed out there with a Power Stroke.
Yep. We're heading out to getting things buttoned up and heading out tomorrow.
That's right. So not only are you the super tech over at Duramax Tuner and our favorite co-host on Diesel Performance Podcast, but you also are going to be the tech who pretty much is the entire pit crew for both of these trucks.
Yeah. I got asked to go this year and jumped at the chance, and I'm excited.
All right, man. So let's talk a little bit about it, because I think a lot of times people see these trucks show up and we think about the competitors. And I know, guys, I know we've been doing a lot of interviews with competitors talking about getting their trucks ready. But something that we know is every one of these competitors has guys helping. You're that guy helping.
Yeah.
That's what you do, Jeremy.
I'm the guy doing it. Yep. So I'm the guy setting it up. I'm the guy, putting it together, trying to make sure everything works for all the rules.
Right.
Because it's not like our local sled pole around here where, hey, that's okay.
Yeah, right? Yeah, work stock sled pull rules are a little bit different than actually going out drag racing in like the third gen and things like that.
Exactly. So, yeah, setting up the Power Stroke is different from setting up the Cummins, So this year, luckily the Cummins was still pretty much there from the previous year.
Okay.
So.
All right, gotcha. So how crazy did they get with the safety rules on this stuff? Did you have to have U-joint shields?
Yep.
And
yeah, no, that's exactly it. They do go crazy. So especially with the higher horsepower stuff. So like in the Cummins.
Yeah.
Every drive shaft has to have, the front drive shaft has to at least have 2 loops on it, front and rear, both U-joints. The rear drive shaft has to have 3. Covering both U-joints and the center of the shaft.
Oh.
So they don't want the center of the shaft hitting the gas tank or taking out, someone in the stands.
Yeah. And they can cause damage. We have seen it.
Yes, they can. Our blue LB7 this year that we pulled with.
That's right. Yeah, twisted it right apart, man.
Twisted it, and I took out the muffler. Damaged it hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So some hoops around the drive shaft, some shields. What else?
Has to have a trans blanket. So every truck in the modified class or the King of the Streets class has to have a trans blanket in it. So no matter what transmission it is, no matter how bad it's built, it has to have a trans blanket.
Now, can you explain to our listeners the purpose of a trans blanket?
The trans blanket is so if it does explode, all the everything that explodes stays inside the blanket, and no shrapnel won't go out. Another thing I'll explain, the same thing as a blanket is the downpipe has to have an X in it, so it has to have bolts put through it.
Sure.
That way, if the turbo fails, that the wheel won't go through the exhaust and shoot out the exhaust and hit somebody.
We've seen some nasty videos from turbine wheels coming apart and shooting out the exhaust. And I will say I've seen them blow past the X bolts.
Oh, yeah.
But it does usually stops them or slows them down to the point that they're not like deadly.
It takes so I actually use a little bit bigger of a bolt. I use a 3/8 bolt instead of like just a chintzy 1/4 inch or something. But that's what the trans blanket does. It helps provide. Is it going to stop it from, going up? Is there little holes? Yes, there is. But is it going to stop big pieces? That's the whole idea behind it.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Trans blanket, X bolts in the pipe, in the downpipe. Yep. We got hoops underneath it. What else?
So in this particular class as well, we have to put a engine kill. So Cummins, the only way to kill the engine is to kill the ECM on it.
Okay.
So we have to put a kill switch in it. So for when it does the sled pole portion, that way if the truck runs away from the sled, it'll be able to pull the chain and it'll kill the engine. Yeah.
I always thought this was a cool one, and I just imagine it was tragic the first time somebody realized we really needed this.
Right.
Because essentially what it is just like you described. There's like a little hook on the back of the truck. And that hook gets connected to a chain that's connected to the sled. This way, if your hitch breaks and the truck starts flying away, because you've got a 2,000 horsepower truck floored to the ground in the dirt with people in front of you, like the flaggers and people at the end of the track. And if all of a sudden your hitch fails and the truck shoots away from the sled and it starts going at high speed, okay, don't worry. It's going to pull that safety cord kind of like a wave runner has like a kill switch on it or something like that.
That's exactly what it is.
And then that'll cut it off there. So a handy tool.
But this one threw like myself for a loop. I mean, am I the best electrical guy out there? No, but I do my job every day.
Sure.
And so I go, I'll just put a relay in it and kill it that way when it. So not knowing that the breakaway switch that we used was actually for a trailer breakaway, thinking it would work the same. Well, I use a 4-wire relay, wire it in, check engine light just sits there and flashes, and it doesn't like my.
Oh no!
It doesn't like it. So, Jaden, he comes up and goes, "Hey, run it backwards, the relay backwards." I'm like, "Well, I can't. We have to use a 5-wire relay to only use 4 wires to do it backwards."
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Vaguely, yes.
So, you have to use a 5-wire relay to use only 4 wires so we can run it backwards. But yeah, it ended up working out pretty good.
Okay, got that buttoned up. Was that the last thing?
Yeah, like I said, the truck's already been set, so we already know all the rules about sled pulling, stuff like that. So suspension stops are already in it. We already got the hitch put on it. We're going to put a big weight bar on the front of it. That way we can hang 600-800 pounds up front.
Hell yeah.
So
now, I know a lot of guys show up to this, and we've seen throughout the years these events, the support staff and inventory of what a support staff will bring has grown to the point that we've seen guys basically show up with lifts and set them up in the parking lot and like set up a tent. They're ready to go to town. Like they brought their full shop with them.
Well, that's what they do every week, every month. I mean, that's what they do. We're gonna bring a pretty good supply. We'll make sure we have different sets of wheels, we're going to bring our drag wheels from when we do the drag portion. We'll bring, we're trying doing a different tire setup on the back, especially of the Cummins.
Yeah.
When we do the sled pole. And then when he does the dirt drags, we're just, we have a really nice 35-inch tire we're going to do on that. So we're going to do a 3 or 4 tire combo on one truck just to try to make it different in each category.
Sure.
So,
well, and that truck too, the Cummins, after talking to all of the competitors, I think I would think they have a real tough time positioning himself in like those top 3 spots.
Oh, yeah.
If you just showed up with one set of tires, you'd be at a wild disadvantage.
Oh, huge.
So at this point, if you haven't done a 2,200 horsepower build and you're not a caged drag truck that's going to try a sled pull, you're like, okay, well, I need to give myself every little advantage in each event.
And that's where this truck is really going to shine in different events. Like it'll be last in some, but it's going to be top 2 or 3 in some.
Yeah.
I mean, this truck on the dirt is just unbelievable.
It's hard to beat. And Tim's a damn good driver.
He's an amazing driver. I mean, I've personally seen it. I mean, he's... So a lot of it comes down to the driver. You can have the best truck, but you can have a crappy driver.
That's it, man. Yeah, if you need that driver mod, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, and then being able to see Nick in the Ford this year is going to be, impressive as well.
Yeah, Duramax tuner Nick, Mr. DT scientist himself.
Yeah.
That's a throwback to Duramax for him.
Right.
But yeah, Mr. Duramax tuner himself going to be out there with a Ford. We'll be diving more into that. So the reason we're shying away from many details about the Ford is because we are sending out producer of this show and editor of Diesel Performance Podcast, Justin Tyson, is also the cameraman with Duramax tuner. So he is going to be following Nick in a little bit different style of a video for this event. So I'm really excited to see how that goes and what those details come out to be.
Yeah, and just me being there to help set up both trucks is just going to be pretty fun.
Something we've never had. We don't send support staff.
No. And
ever to anything.
No, they don't. Usually they have to do it. Like Tim did this himself 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was, I think Justin was there.
Oh, yeah.
It was Tim and Justin. It was 30 degrees out, and it was like close to Halloween. And
it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal. This year, hoping for better weather. Looks like there's a little bit of chance of scattered showers.
Yeah, I saw that on Saturday.
But I'll tell you this, Sarah Chapman knows how to put on an event. And I saw a post from her in the channel that was pretty much like, we don't care. You will be competing.
Yeah.
It will not rain for 24 hours straight, and we will figure it out.
Right.
And I believe that.
And you know what's really cool about it is if you follow the page on Facebook, it's just like how professional they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they're actually, to me, I mean, seeing it from local stuff or, I mean, even some of the national stuff. I mean, I have to say they're up there like UCC and stuff, how professional and how like nice they are.
How well organized it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, awesome. It's going to be an awesome event.
Yeah.
I know I'm really excited for it. What portion of the competition are you the most excited to see, Jeremy?
I like the dirt. I really like the dirt because it's not popular. Like sled pulling is popular. Drag racing is very popular.
Yeah.
The dyno, everybody loves the dyno, but it's like, I want to see these trucks in the dirt.
Dirt drags is something else, man.
That's what I mean.
It's quick hits. It goes fast.
Yeah.
And like nobody can oil down the track. That's like not a thing,
Right.
It's dirt. So like to me, I'm right there with you. I love watching dirt drags.
Yeah, so do I.
It is from a spectator standpoint, it's the most entertaining.
Right.
I will say the most nervous I will be is watching the dyno.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you seen, who was that a couple of years? Sean Bachman, I think?
Baca,
Yeah,
Baca blew up on the dyno.
Yeah.
Out west at an event. We've seen
Dirty Hooker.
Dirty Hooker lit his shit on fire at UCC a couple of years ago. Power Driven Diesel blew up that 12 valve last year. I think it was last year at UCC. So that is where I'm the most nervous. However, I think where we see the most damage to vehicles is actually sled pulling.
Yes.
So it'll be it's already a tough challenge to see guys make it through all of these different competitions throughout the event, or events throughout the competition. But yeah, this is going to be one of those last man standing.
Right.
I feel like it might not be the highest horsepower truck who wins. It might be the guy who maybe was second or third in horsepower, but was able to keep it together through everything.
And that's kind of what we were thinking when we built this truck this year, because this truck's been through 8 different turbo setups, 10, 12, who knows. But and I mean, when we were doing this setup on it, that's kind of what we went in. Do we want to put the biggest and best out there? I mean, yes, it's built and the motor is healthy.
Yeah.
But why?
Why? Yeah.
I mean, let's go out and have fun and compete. But why try to go out and spend $10,000 or $20,000 on a motor?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it, right? Yeah, you got to really want that first place spot to be able to make that investment up front. Yeah, I could see that.
That's, I mean, as a company, I mean, let's go compete and show what we can do. So that's how I feel about it.
Absolutely. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
No problem. Thank you.
And it's back in the shop right now. So this truck is a fucking headache. It's a nightmare.